We are live, I think. All right.
Yes.
A little bit later today.
Sorry.
Can you
I
tell us which Fireship video you were watching?
you were listening. I left the room while it was playing.
Uh,
Tech Bros
I
Optimized War and it's something.
I think it was a Palantir Anduril
Palantir,
video.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm saying that wrong. Palantir. My
Palantir.
apologies. They're your pal. They put the pal in Palantir.
Yes, yes.
Maybe I'm putting
No,
the ant in Palantir.
I
Palantir.
had I had the door for the garage open overnight, and so it was freezing in here.
Oh
And I
wow.
had to go find a jacket. And so I found
Gotcha.
my old llama jacket.
Oh
Uh
well, sir. Can we start by talking
a
about Olama?
a limited issue of I don't know
I,
7 or 8.
I'm here for it. It looks like a Montclair. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. So, Minimax 2.5. Have you played with it?
2.7.
2.5. We'll get to 2.7 MO.
Okay, I've used Minimax 2.5 for a lot of things for a while.
Why is it so shit? It's like
Huh?
there's something up with it. I think where it gets close to the context limit, where it just like
Hmm.
falls. Like it's like it can't even handle its own context. Is like with small context is fine, but within like two or three prompts, it's
Right.
done.
Hmm.
And yes, 2.7 is so much better, but have you tried Kimi 2.5? I
Yes.
just went back. It's so much better. It's so much
Yeah.
better than both Minimax M2.5 and Minimax M2.7. Even though the benchmarks may say otherwise, at least in terms of coding and terminal access, I feel like, in my experience, Kimi is way, way better. To wit, did you notice that apparently Composer 2 was based on Kimi
I did see
K2.5?
that. I did see that. Yeah.
Which I mean, I think a lot of us we're slowly starting to realize that Kimi K2 is pretty good and better than the others for the things that we're doing. But it feels like Cursor knew this a long time ago because they've launched it so quickly. But there must be something in their test suite or in their data that they've got that can show them right away what's good and what's not. Because I think
Yeah.
if you're going just by, sorry to use vibes, but if you're just going by vibes and trying to feel like which one is better, like I just did, it's
Hmm.
very difficult to get to that conclusion without spending weeks on some of these models, and then they'll
Right.
upgrade in between and go to new things, and it's like it's difficult for me to ascertain which is better. And I do
Right.
have some tests with hidden evals and things like that, but their slide generation, like, it doesn't help me with coding at all. Like, I don't
Hmm.
have a lot of like, I'm an okay coder, but I'm more like a glue coder scripter kind of person.
Right.
So for me, I don't really have a test suite. Like, run through this Terraform plan and see how bad you are at like understanding that the provider is out of date, which is like a pretty easy one that I see all the time. But like, I think I'm at this point now where personally I feel like I need to start making evals. And I guess my whole ramp up here was, Matt, how do you know when a model's better or worse for you? Like, are you the one shotter? Are you the clear session all the time? Because I'm a compactor. I'm the long session guy. And I think specifically Minimax is not that model. And I think based on my
Yes.
experience with the Olama Cloud, if I do one shots with it or have it do a few one shots and pick the best answer, I get way better results than if I queried it three times, for example.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned that you thought 2.7 was better than 2.5. I've thought the opposite, that 2.5 was better than 2.7.
Ah, and it does feel like it's different for different things. So,
Yes.
for example, because I was playing with Terraform, 2.5 seemed to handle Terraform better, but also I
Hmm.
was using 2.7 when it just launched, and I'm not sure if it was busy.
Hmm.
Sorry, for
Yeah.
those of
Oh,
you who
yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, for those of you who just logged in, like, Olama Cloud is faster than Anthropic, and I'm not going to die on this hill, but I'll die on this hill today. How's that? I'll die on this hill today because it's provable. Time to first token that is of
Yeah.
value is way better on
Yeah.
Olama, like, period.
Yeah.
And then the tokens per second, which listen, it kind of matters, but also I need to be able to read this text, Matt. Like, I
Right.
understand speed is important, but also my brain can only like take in so many tokens per second. But
Yeah.
it's just flying. It's flying so fast that it's difficult to read, which is a problem. But I don't think you're going to see that problem in Anthropic. Or
Right.
ChatGPT is a little bit faster, but you're probably not going to notice it there as well.
Yeah.
And it could be that Anthropic is oversubscribed or doing
Hmm.
something funny with their models because they're starting to fail benches again. I don't know what's going on there.
Right.
Um, but I've not seen like model degradation, at least in my experience. in the last 3 weeks using Olama Cloud,
Hmm.
and I'm paying a lot less, and I think I'm getting the same value, which is like
Yeah.
really weird because
Yeah.
I'm not rich, man, but I'm paying like almost $700 to both Anthropic Canadian. So I
No.
don't know, it's five
Oh,
hundred
okay.
dollars
So
US,
20
450
bucks.
US. Yeah, exactly. Well, compared to $20 at
Yeah.
Olama,
Yeah.
and I don't want to throw them all under the bus. Like I get the
Right.
market's changing and things are different, and some of these are like GPU hosting could be a loss leader. Maybe you're trying to get some market traction. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if I'm trying to use this tool to code, I need it to work reliably,
Right.
not just work 1 second and not the next.
Right.
Yeah, there's another long session person. Yeah, I'm always compacting, and I realize the compact algorithms aren't great, and I often do end up shoving some context back in, which probably
Right.
doesn't help. But that's kind of where I'm at, is like
Hmm.
just rolling through long context, and it works pretty well with Opus. I think Opus does a good job of compacting. It doesn't work as well in Sonnet, and ChatGPT is not great at the long sessions. But Kimi K2 is a champ.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's fast with Olama. It's cheap. I think a session that I had going for like 11 hours, the estimate in Klein was $6. No, it was $3
Mm.
actually. It was $3 for that entire session. But like, there's no way it was, because when I look at my account, it was only $20 a month. They haven't charged me anymore. It's 20 US, so maybe it's closer to 30 Canadian. But like,
Right.
we're talking about an order of magnitude smaller compared to paying for two other, I don't know, subscriptions that have models where I could probably just use different Olama endpoints to
Yep.
compare and contrast two different answers, which is what I'm using ChatGPT and Claude for. So I'll bounce the ideas off of one then the other. But yeah, I don't know, maybe March, maybe April is when people start to like realize that Olama is a good deal. But again, not a sales pitch, but holy moly, I'm pretty impressed. It's faster.
Yeah.
And maybe I can tell you a little bit about what I was up to this weekend. So the reason I was late, not the reason you were late, is because I was recording an episode for Datadog on OpenClaw. Finally, I
Okay.
decided I dusted off, tried again. They just got an update, and I think you and I were talking last week about an update made to OpenClaw to allow Olama cloud usage, which
Hmm.
actually is amazing. And it's amazing because you can deploy, for
They, they
example, to a Raspberry
they
Pi.
had
Go
it
ahead.
before. It was there
It just didn't
before.
work.
It just
Yeah,
wasn't. It just wasn't in the onboarding. You had to set it up
exactly.
yourself. So I mean,
Exactly.
or you could just use Olama launch OpenClaw and whatever.
Correct. Yes. But
So
the native setup is really good.
yeah.
And in particular, I think there's something called a claw bench, or there's definitely a tool bench. But the tool bench and the claw bench will tell you whether or not your model is up to snuff for
Hmm.
OpenClaw. And both Minimax and Kimi K2.5 had no issues. And I could actually recommend them both. Unless you want to go long sessions with your OpenClaw 2 or what have you, if you're just doing like one-offs on a schedule, it seems fine. But
Hmm.
so what I did on like a Raspberry Pi with 1 GB of memory, for example,
Mm.
can't use Olama locally, not because it needs too much resources, but with the operating system and everything running, it can't do it. So
Right.
that one I pointed directly to Olama Cloud. But on
Yeah.
every other Pi, 2 gig and above, I run Olama locally, and I basically proxy to the cloud.
Yep.
And I know that sounds silly, that there's a method to my madness. What I'm doing is I've got to, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the better way to go
I think
because
so
now
too. Yeah,
well, for the reason I think is because you're not having to store an API key on that machine. You're relying on OAuth or something, where you're not passing the API key in each request. I think I forget something about. I mean, the API
I
key is
think
not
it
stored there.
might be API key, but it was kind of like hidden. You don't
Hit a
see it.
little
So you
more
go through
hidden,
Olama
a little bit
off.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You go through Olama off, and it like
Right.
assigns permissions to it, puts
Right.
you in the proper location, that kind of thing. It probably should be OAuth short-lived tokens, but I
Yep.
understand why it's not. And I have a feeling that they're probably going to get there, because everybody seems to be moving away from environmental variables,
Right.
or environment variables, just because agents are very keen on leaking those vars.
Right.
It's the first thing they do is like print m, and everything's there. It's fantastic, right to the corpus. This SIGL. The reason I'm doing it that way is because I feel like I can have Olama locally pick between like a local model or a remote model if I lose internet access, which is kind of
Mm,
silly. But in some cases, that's actually what you want. And
right.
Phi or Phi for the Microsoft model is the one that I'm using as like the tiny model, either that or Llama
Hmm.
3.1, like something small that if you're just doing like a regex or a sed command or an awk command where
Hmm.
maybe you don't know the entire awk programming language, for example, it's perfect for that. It's like an offline Wikipedia, basically. So I've got those dual modes set up, and it's so amazing. I've also got them all talking on IRC.
Hmm.
Sorry, talking, quoting. This is like Moltbook. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to set up some scam or steal your money. I promise. But what I really want to see, because I'm an old IRC head, I really want to see if I can add a channel that's not official, so that people won't then just like attack my bots. Because last time I used WhatsApp, and I think that's probably not the best idea. And I want to see if I could run it offline. So have it not access the internet, but like run a local IRC server or Matrix, I guess another example that has a channel. And then get them to talk to each other, which has been pretty fun, actually. None of them came alive with souls or identities. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those terms. We might have talked about soul before.
Hmm.
Okay, so they all came online without souls or identities, and I had them argue with each other based on prior chats that we had just had
Hmm.
in a public, quote unquote public, but public to these agents only,
Hmm.
to see what they thought of each other. And they basically, some of them, I gave them an example. So for example, I'm Ryan, and I could have a pipe after my name, and it could be the boss. And the next agent's like, yeah, that's great. I'm Agent Five, the boss. Like, no, hold on, settle down. And then I got them all to like talk to each other. Like, are you really
Hmm.
the boss? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the boss. Like, who told you you're the boss? I mean, I was given this task, so I called myself the boss. Anyway, it's fun to watch them react. They're all on Kimmy K 2.5, but
Hmm.
it also just proves like every session is going to be different. It's non-deterministic. They're going to have
Right.
different IDs. They're on different pies that are mostly Pi 4, like 4 gig, 8 gigs.
Hmm.
One of them I mentioned is a 1 gigger. Not great. So the small one, I think he called himself Ready Scout. He called himself Scout. I'm ready to go explore and then like hand off the results to
Right.
everybody else. But that was pretty funny. They started using like little emojis and stuff like that. They think they're dogs, and no one told them they
Hmm.
were dogs. So there's an eager dog, a work dog, a guard dog, a hound dog.
Wow.
That no one told you to do this. The only thing in the context that has dogs in it is Datadog, but I guess
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
it flavored it anyway. It's pretty fun to watch. Again, I can't recommend Mobbook, but if you want to see agents work with each other and bounce ideas back
Hmm.
and forth, much akin to like Furbies, maybe. I think setting them up with like Olama Cloud access to either Minimax or Clone
Right.
3 or Kimmy K2 is probably a good idea. But yeah, it's really fun. They don't do anything other than that. They converse over IRC and can report on their temperatures and get stats from Datadog. That's all they're allowed to do. Mini Blacks. Yeah, so Jay Topham, I was saying this a little bit earlier, but I'm actually hosting Minimax quote unquote cloud via Olama Local. So I've got Olama Local turned on. It has a quote unquote downloaded model, which is a pointer to the Olama Cloud hosted version of Kimi
Yep.
K2.5. I could point the agents directly at the cloud, but I like having the option to have local inference, if possible, it's going to be really small on Pies, or be able to use the remote cloud. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm currently doing. And I said this earlier, so I feel like I don't want to spread the gospel too much, but like for $20 US a month, it feels like I'm getting a better experience
Yeah.
so far, 3 weeks in, than from both OpenAI and Anthropic combined, which is
And
like
then the other
it
advantage
feels
of
really true.
doing local is that
Mhm.
Olama local versus, installing Olama locally and then relying on the cloud version is that cloud does not have any embedding models.
Right.
And so you could run that embedding model locally because I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure embedding doesn't take advantage of the GPU, the embedding models. Um,
Oh,
I think.
you might be right, actually.
So that's more
I can test
CPU
that. Yeah,
bound.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. I feel like that's one of the tests that's a little bit harder to do on a Mac because like it's difficult
Oh
to
yeah,
see
it's
where
all the
the proc
same.
actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can split it out. It's a little bit harder. There's something called like power meter or something like that that you can
Mm.
actually track like which
Hmm.
proc is on which, but it's not trivial. I think we talked about the auto research, for example. I was doing auto
Right.
research on Mac,
Right.
so I ended up trying to get their times to crossbar temperatures, all the
Yeah.
things that you'd normally see in an NVIDIA GPU. There are things that obviously don't exist, but some of it is actually the same. So like how much
Yeah.
GPU memory are you using? They'll cut aside some off the core basically. You can check the die temps as
Hmm.
well if it's getting too hot while it's running through. So it's actually kind of interesting to do to like monitor those as you go through. But yeah, it would be fun to see if the RAG mix, for example, when you're doing your embeddings,
Right.
like prior to ingesting, where that model actually pulls from.
Yeah.
The one I used in the past, I think, was Ada. Is that not the OpenAI one?
Yes. So for embedding, yeah.
Yeah. Ada
Yeah.
large, I think. Text embedding Ada large. Yeah.
I mean, all the embedding, I've always used Olama, I think Namek embed something. Um, and it's great.
Namek, yep. I've
Yeah.
not tried that one. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Namek embed. Or
There's
MX Buy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a Snowflake one you said? The Granite
Snowflake,
one
yeah.
is from IBM, which I've not
Yes.
used.
Yeah.
Oh, Arctic. Yeah. Very good. Very cool. I'll have to try this one. Last
Yeah.
update a year ago. Okay. It's
Yeah.
pretty
The
small.
embed models they added a bunch of embed models about a year, 2 years ago, and they haven't added any more since then. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean,
This
maybe
uses
it's
something called MRL, and MRL sounds like something that you might be very interested. Do you know what MRL stands for?
no.
The M is, this is where I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Matryoshka?
Okay.
Are those, is that the doll?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. Inspired by
yeah.
traditional Russian Matryoshka dolls,
Yeah.
with smaller dolls nestled inside larger ones. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what MRL means. We
Okay.
all
Okay.
learned something new today.
Yeah, and
That's cool. I've
usually you
never
get
used this
those
model.
dolls. They're kind of a black lacquer. That's kind of the traditional way of
Yeah.
producing them, or like
Mhm.
decorating them. But I have a set that's actually that I bought in. Did I buy it in Moscow? I think I might have bought it in Moscow. That was you can see the raw wood. I mean, nice and smooth,
Like a
but then
stain, yeah.
the it's all burned in. All the
Oh,
designs are
nice.
all burned. So I mean, you can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And it was definitely done by hand. I mean, this
Oh,
was I
wow.
bought this. I would have bought this in 90, 91, 89. Oh no, in 1990, I think.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different periods for
Yeah.
that area for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. What's that called? Wood burning. Wood burning iron, I think is what you call it. You can do it with like a soldering iron, for example.
Yeah.
At the Hackspace, we call those ones fire starters. You know, the ones that are just like a raw element in a cable.
I only use my
get hot.
soldering. I got one of the soldering irons from was it Fantic, I think, and then got an attachment so I can use it to embed the screws into 3D prints.
Nice.
And that's the only reason I use it.
Huh? That's pretty cool. So you're just melting plastic with it.
Yeah.
So I spent the weekend with Agents and Olama Cloud. What about yourself? Anything interesting?
What did I do this weekend? I don't think so. Oh, Sunday I got volunteered. My events coordinator, my wife, volunteered me for helping to build closets, like the closet shelves.
Yeah.
But so in the U.S., if you're gonna
you
buy,
get a screwdriver for this.
well, I do. In the U.S., you can buy Alpha shelves. I guess the only company that sells them is the Container Store. And the Container Store is going through bankruptcy proceedings.
Oh no.
And has been for a while. And before I was like, I wonder why that is. But now dealing with Alpha more recently, it's like, oh, okay, this is why they're going through this kind of process, because they're incompetent. I mean, this person ordered all the stuff for like shelves in February, apparently a lot of it came a few weeks ago, and then except for all the anchors to actually attach it to the wall, and then that came, and then we were able to assemble one of the closets. The second closet, half of the shelves are missing.
Oh no,
And for the first closet, some of them were damaged. And the third closet, there's just so much missing. It's like, oh,
that's rough.
if she didn't have us, who, and we know how useful it is because it was
Mhm.
really useful in our place in Boston. Um, I she should have returned it. I mean, it was anyway. The
Gotcha.
LTT screwdriver, yes, I have
Yes,
it.
I
I
was gonna let you have that one. I could, yeah.
I
But
it is
not
the
sponsored.
best. It is the best screwdriver, best manual ratcheting screwdriver I've ever owned.
I think they'd be pleased to hear that. I think they think the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
They
incredible. Now,
spent they spent 3 years trying to find the right screwdriver. Like it's got to be, it better be good.
yeah, no, it is really good. And although because of the way the screws go in for the shelves and the brackets, or the things that go into a wall that's only like
Like the
plasterboard.
anchor.
Yeah, the drywall anchor.
Yep.
And it screws in, and it's like a very fine screw, so it's screws
Right.
a lot to go very little distance, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to pull that piece to go to so doing it with the LCT screwdriver would have meant like doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
luckily, I mean, I bought into this Hoto slash Fantech slash
Yes. Yes.
all the other
Yes.
names that they use. I've got one of their screwdrivers, and it's like it was
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that's where you're going with the screwdriver, was
yeah,
the Hutu or Hoto. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, fair enough. LTD screwdriver is also pretty good. Don't get
yeah.
us wrong.
I think it's fantastic.
Magnetize. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Um, but
Yes.
yeah, that's all I did this week.
That's it. That's
No,
all you did this weekend. Yeah.
you had
Hey,
more exciting things to do over the weekend.
well, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I did do a lot of things. I will admit. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about OpenClaw here for a bit. Like, I'm starting to come around to Peter's thing. Like, I think I mentioned before, what I really didn't like is that he vibe coded a bunch of Go tools in October. Like, this has nothing to do with Peter. It has
Yeah,
everything to do with the timing.
yeah.
And me
Oh
not
yeah,
trusting any of
this
and not
is
trusting any of those tools as a result.
there is nothing unique, novel, or new in OpenClaw. Nothing. Everything has been
Right.
done. I mean, the whole like talking to your model over
Hmm.
whichever platform. I mean, I remember, you probably know, he used to
But you got to
do.
remember, you love the Zune. Don't forget, you love
Well,
the
hold on,
Zune.
yeah.
And
Well,
this
it
is
was
very
the
similar to
best.
like iPod versus all the other, like
It
RCA had an MP3 player.
Yeah, it was the best platform for music. Yes.
See,
But
like
Justin,
Olama's already got all of OpenClaw. Why would you download
well,
OpenClaw?
Justin, do you remember? Do you know a guy? He was with AWS. I think he's no longer there. Justin Garrison.
It does ring a bell. Yeah,
He did containers from the couch for a long time.
yeah.
Um, and he did a demo showing. I think it was with Olama. Like in the first few weeks, it was available. Um, and asked talking to this model through. I think it was using iMessage, and it worked
Makes
great.
sense.
It was back and forth. That was with early tool usage, because tool usage came out on Olama within, I
Right.
want to say, 2 months. Then like a year later, it was announced, but it was already tool use way before. But and all the aspects of OpenClaw, triggering a
Hmm.
repeating process through whether it's cron. I mean, so many projects have done all the pieces,
Yep.
maybe not all in one piece, but it was more
And
like a.
no,
I
no,
feel
none of
like it
this.
was.
There's like 60 tools off to the left of OpenClaw.
Yeah,
Like none of this is, yeah.
yeah,
Most of
and
the functionality
I feel
that people
like
think is OpenClaw is part of those tools.
yeah,
Sorry.
and I feel like a lot of what OpenClaw does was more like before. It was more like, well, it was is like your lightsaber. You build what you
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
and then OpenClaw just kind of packaged it
Did you say
all in
like
a
your
rough way.
lightsaber?
Your lightsaber, yeah, because you're supposed to build your own lightsaber
Yeah.
if you were in that world.
Right.
Yes.
That is amazing. We totally agree. I think a lot of those tools are, some of them might actually be good. I think the screenshot one, for example, I was really not a fan of, and then maybe I'm coming around to it, for example, because
Yeah.
it's actually a pain to get the permissions you need to take a
Mm-hmm.
screenshot in
Yep.
macOS. It's got nothing to do with being able to take the screenshot.
Right.
It's more about the permission. So I can understand some of the stuff. Some of the plugins and things like that. Anyway, I disabled them all. This is how we get to
Yeah.
IRC because I didn't
Yeah.
want to use anything that was there. But it did come with Tailscale built in, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that was maybe the smartest thing of all
Yeah.
the design decisions that were there. But I think that's the main thing that I want to bring up. You kind of jumped to my conclusion already. Is that like a lot of those tools in there, one you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
They were written a little while ago. They've been updated. There was a new version of
Mm-hmm.
OpenClaw released, I think, yesterday or the day before,
Yep.
3.22. It's been a couple of weeks, but there's another version. They're cutting releases. It seems like they're following pretty good practices, at least in the release notes. But that's just it, is that you can remove a lot of those plugins or add your own and make your own lightsaber. I think that is the exciting part. But I don't think the people out there, like they want, what's this called? Batteries included. They want
Mm-hmm.
batteries included product with all the features
Yep.
hidden behind checkboxes. So that when you install, you just check a box and
Yep.
you get your GOG CLI, you get your iMessage CLI, you get all
Right.
these things in there, no problem. But I do feel like for the people who are just coming to AI now
Yeah.
and they want an assistant, I do feel like OpenClaw does a lot of service for them.
Right.
What I don't agree with is like the lack of Unix philosophy. It
Yeah.
should be secure by default. It
Yeah.
should never not be secure
Yeah.
by default, because this is how people are like buying Mac Minis and getting pwned
Right.
or whatever. But I think we also talked about a few weeks ago. I've got a coworker, AJ Stuyvenberg, who bought a car using OpenClaw, for example, bought a Hyundai Palisade. Palisade?
Mm-hmm.
Do we put the Pal in Palisade too? Palisade. But there's a lot of trust there, but also AJ is a really good programmer who, for
Yeah.
the most part, set this up pretty well and then let it run overnight, but whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like we're getting to that point where, as you said, there should be a Zune. There should be like this feels like the iPod, but there should
Yeah.
be other competing solutions. What we have are a bunch of competing claws. And
Yeah.
it's like, is it carcinification? We talked about this before. Everything evolves into like a crab.
Right.
It's not a lobster, but a crab. It feels like everything's turning into a crab. Like everything's just evolving into the same thing. It's like a small husk with little plugins
Right.
that you bring to it. To it, Jay Todman in the chat is stealing my conclusions. Y'all are, not letting me have anything today, but Anthropic is now building all
Right.
these features into Anthropic
Yeah.
and is effectively Sherlocking the software that's out there.
Right.
Also, they didn't hire this individual who I think maybe thought they should be hired by
Right.
them, but whatever. We'll leave that there. But I can see why on their end they'd be like, I mean, why don't I just write those
Yeah.
plugins now? Because 4 months, 5 months is actually a marked difference in the capabilities of these models. Like back then, I was trying to do TypeScript with any applied to everything, right? And it was like compiling types. It was terrible. These days, I can full on vibe code like a Rust Tokyo, distributed system. And I'm not going to say hours, like maybe a day or two, but like that's a phenomenal undertaking. And I say this as somebody who is just looking at like IRCDs to figure out just how hard could it be? Pretty hard, non-trivial. But I think that's just the case of where we are, is that like OpenAI could Sherlock you if they wanted to.
Yep.
Instead, they hired the person. Looking at Manus, who I think is probably the Zune in this scenario. I'm so sorry. But Manus has been around for a while and has had a lot of capabilities.
Yeah.
And people keep ignoring it, and Manus is continuing to evolve. Speaking of tool use and computer use, I think Manus was one of the first models to do this really well, even though slow. And then OpenAI had to do a lot of catch up. It feels like Anthropic's doing a lot of catch up now as people are realizing that these models that they have are better for more than just coding. They can be used for personal tasks. The other thing, and I don't want to get into this too much, but there was some kerfuffle in the U.S. about who the military could use to that maybe or may acquire targets or send things or whatever. And as a result, it feels like a lot of people now don't like ChatGPT. So it's kind of been
Yeah.
tainted a little bit, and now
Yeah.
we're trying to move to what they think is the second best thing, and what we
Right.
probably think is the first best thing when it comes to code. But in terms of a general agent, Claude's probably not there. Like
Yeah.
it's close, but it's not there. So they're picking the second one. And then Anthropic's realizing, oh yeah, like coders need a specific set of things, but people out there in the real world need totally different things.
Right.
And that's just it. They're adding in the Telegram, they're adding in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp, the remote control, they're adding in loops, they're adding in schedules, like all the things that we were asking for a
Right.
long time,
Right.
like a whole year, are now added in because they can see the dollars, like the
Yeah.
dollar signs are
Yeah.
flashing. And then I think, and Lucas is also saying, yeah, we look at NemoClaw. Yes, security, sure. That Nemotron model, though, I really can't recommend. Having played with it a bit, it's not
No.
great. It's pretty bad. I did play with one yesterday that was released 3 days ago. Cascade 2
Mhm.
is maybe what I'd recommend, but even then, it's really like I don't want to say bad words, but it's really not good. Like it feels like it's a
Yeah.
year old. What it's good at though is it's a mixture of experts, so it doesn't use as much memory as the other ones, which is similar to like a Mistral model. But it's really not there.
Yeah.
Like I know it's got name power behind it, brand
Yep.
recognition, but it's like you'll find that it's not great.
Yep.
When looking at NemoClaw, it feels like they're trying to cash in on a name. I don't think there's any more than that. I think you're really fine that if you look at what NemoClaw is and the security and the guardrails that they put around it, you're probably better off, as Matt said, building your own lightsaber,
Yeah.
because your solution is going to be different than theirs. They want you to use NVIDIA hardware.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
I think the first NemoClaw I played with, I used, it was like GGUF is what they had done it, and I like recompiled it into MLX. They were both bad, like
Mhm.
terrible. On Mac, the utilization GGUF was awful, of course.
Yep.
The MLX was better, for like 2 times better, so definitely do that if you can. But it still gave answers that, like, I don't know, I felt like 2 years ago we had solved some of these problems. Like, how many R's are in Raspberry? Like,
Strawberry.
strawberry. Even I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Have we not solved this problem? Like, and I think it's more like they're probably not taking up space in their corpus into context by putting in silly tricks like that. But you still got to be able to pass the test or do easy math problems. Like they're trying to make a generic model. It's hard, and NVIDIA is trying really difficult to be relevant. I think their world models are probably, because they're kind of alone in this area of like creating a physical world, or sorry, a virtual world for virtual robots that would then be modeled to use the real world, is pretty specific, and I can't see others using that other than like Google's making their own video game engine. It's tough.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Cascade and the other models, the other Nemotron models, like I really don't think the juice is there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what is it? Cascade and
Cascade 2, and I think the other one's just Nemotron 3.
Nemotron Super.
Super. My apologies. The other one in this list, though, is LFM. Have you played with LFM at all?
I don't think I have played with that one.
I would highly suggest that you used LFM to rate your images, but tell it to be ruthless. It is so fast. This is a problem that I've tried with a lot of models. Like, here's an image of mine. I take portraits, so here are 7 images of mine that look virtually identical. Which is the best? Or like, I don't know, here are 2,000 images that are a person sitting on a chair with a white background. Pick the best. And it's beyond like, are the eyes open? Are they smiling? It's more like what expression do they evoke? How is the shading? Like more of that. So finding the best image in a group of similar images is something that I think was solved about 2 years ago. I was using like a Cohere model, I think, back then to do
LFM? I didn't think LFM did the...
LFM's multimodal.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it might not be the one that's at the top of this list. LFM2 might be 2.5. Yeah. Liquid. Yes. Liquid models. And it's really fast at opening images, I guess is what I was trying to get to. I'm using JPEGs. RAW is probably not your best bet. It's quite difficult to use with RAW for most of these, actually, because they're big files and it's bad. Like my RAWs are maybe 49 megabytes, for example. And Genoa is like way too much info. You don't need that much info. You could probably get by with a 1024 image or JPEG small if you're doing exports in Lightroom. I end up pushing off large JPEGs on my camera as I'm shooting, so I just feed those into the model. But this model is one, really small actually,
Mm-hmm.
and two, you can run it on your device if you get enough memory. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
require that much. It needs about 16, I think, gigs, maybe 20. Um, but it will plow through images, which is phenomenal. I'm trying to think of a good demo to give, like maybe dog photos or something like that. I could go through and say like which is cuter, like
Mm-hmm.
an
Mm-hmm.
objective kind of thing, as opposed to which is like better lit, which has better composition, something like that, because they can actually understand what's going on. Anyway,
Hmm.
yeah.
I know
Uh,
for a while the vision models were doing like they were not taking the full resolution. They were taking 1024 by 1024 square, or splitting it up into multiple 1024 square
right.
images, and then using all that to figure out what was in the image. Or I don't
Yeah.
know if they're using the full image. I mean, full resolution yet.
Liquid is very different, and yeah, reading through, because I figured I should do some
Yeah.
research after telling you all about this. I think you're absolutely right. Is that they break it down to like 512, 512, but
Yeah.
this is for the older models. I think the newer models do something. It's not Stable Diffusion. It's completely different
Hmm.
than that, which is what I had assumed it was. It's based on. Did you say modular already? I think that's where the liquid comes from.
Okay.
It's not a mixture of experts, but something similar to that. It's like they
Hmm.
add on capabilities. I think
Hmm.
we need a Firestream video for this, but basically,
Yeah.
like Liquid is a liquid model that kind of is maybe it builds its own lightsaber. I don't know as
Yeah.
it goes along, but basically, it's like purpose built for the task. Like as the task is at hand, similar to MOE, but more like it's one expert, but it's one
Hmm.
expert that can kind of shed skills, bring them back in,
Yeah.
something like that as it's going along. But it's very high speed. Where like
Hmm.
it's incredible to have something. It feels like OpenCV. It's not that fast, but
Right.
it's pretty close to OpenCV, where you can do like a video with it and have it
Right.
do almost real time
Hmm.
transitions on your video, which is like amazing. And it's
Yeah.
doing image by image. Obviously, it's doing it one at a time.
One of the demos I did, I think I was still at Olama,
Mhm.
was doing, and it was actually based on a video I had seen somebody else do, and they
Mhm.
were using, I don't know, Anthropic or somebody, um, but where it would um, narrate what the person was doing.
Oh,
And so you're sitting at the table, you lift up a coffee
oh,
cup,
that's a good
um,
demo. Yeah.
and but it would do it in the voice of Attenborough, and says, "Here's a typical male human, who is and now he's doing a mating ritual, or lifting the coffee cup, and it was kind of fun."
Oh. I think one of the LFM videos I saw was like a poor understanding of that demo.
Oh, okay,
So what they did is something very similar.
yeah,
It wasn't narrating is the problem. And I think it's because the model doesn't have speech
right,
synthesis or whatever built in. It only has text and vision.
yeah,
Is my understanding for the one he was using. But on the screen it was kind of like OpenCV,
yeah,
but it would be a chat log instead of the
right,
boundary box saying like this is
yeah,
a cup. So he would hold up the thing and say like, hey, what I'm
right,
holding. It would say this is a cup, and then you can move it around or like change different poses or make
right,
an L sign or like other things you can do with your hands, and it would tell him like,
yeah,
oh, the user seems very angry, like
yeah,
so like that, depending on what the things that he was doing. But it wasn't narrating; it was more like chatting
right,
at the time. And I
right,
feel like to make it
yeah.
better would be to like bolt
The
that onto some sort of text to speech.
the problem early on, I don't,
Mhm.
I think it's been resolved, but early on uh the vision models didn't have a way of getting two images, so there was no way to see what's
Oh,
new in this new image. It would just re-describe the scene, and
right.
so there was a good chance that in the first image it focuses just on the person's face, and on the second image, even though it's the person was wearing a blue jacket in the first image, it
Mhm.
didn't see the blue jacket in the first image, and it focuses on the jacket. And
Right.
now he's wearing a jacket. It's like, well, he was wearing a jacket. um, but I think that multiple images thing was solved a year ago. I haven't done it since. Um,
Fantastic. I think
yeah.
the other one here is like there was an open source Telegram MCP. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not sure about MCP servers for communications with my models personally. It seems like a bad idea. I did want to roll into checkouts if you don't
Hmm.
mind. I had a
Yeah.
comedy thing to recommend to you. I don't know if you like laughter or anything, but like
I
perhaps
sometimes like laughter. Yeah.
have
Like
you
laughing at your
seen
humongous cup right
it?
there.
Like I don't want to say I'm Majit Pai over here because I'm really not a fan, but like yeah, this Yeti cup is about as large as my head. I
Yeah.
apologize. It was on sale at Foot
Mm,
Locker, so I had to pick it up.
okay.
I also really like the color. Krazam is who I'm thinking of. Does that ring a bell to you? Perfect. Krazam is a YouTube channel that I would recommend to you. In particular, the one that I think I landed on was like the World Series of Excel. That's EXCEL. It's like the macro championship. Like
Yeah.
oh he's moving into reverse Polish notation to save some characters or something like that. Anyway, Krazan made a web series with Alexis Gay that I would highly recommend. I've only seen 2 episodes, and I don't think the second episode is that great. Sorry, I don't think the first episode is that great, but funnily enough, the 2 first episodes they released are reverse order. So it starts with episode 2 and then episode 1.
Wait,
Would
are we
highly
talking about
recommend.
the real thing or a fake? Apparently, this Excel World Championship is a real thing.
It might actually be a real thing. One, two, his video is definitely like satire, but it's so good that it's like he's one of those cringy comedians that knows our industry so well that it's difficult to tell when he's joking, which is the thing you might find about the web series. One, it's too close to home. So if you've had like I don't know, office embarrassment or whatever, you're gonna like, I'm sweating now, just thinking about it. You're gonna start sweating and like feel that weirdness, like, oh, this is why I don't like working in an office. We'll definitely bring that up. The other is he really understands what's going on in our industry right now, which is like kind of disturbing. But he
So
seems to
what's
have
the
a
guy's
good
name?
pulse on Krazam. I mean, he's got a different name, but Krazam
Krazam?
is Krazam. Yes, the microservices video that Sean is talking about is amazing. It is so good. I had seen it like when it came out years ago, but didn't realize that this person had many other series. And I think the Excel one is what really got me in. But the
Okay.
microservices one is so good. I mentioned this a little bit about when we were talking about OpenClaw, how to deploy OpenClaw in Hetzner or OVH Cloud or what. All these videos
Yeah.
where it's like, why the F would you? No, just don't. Like, don't
Yeah.
stop. And then he draws this whole pentagram at the end. Like, it's the only way you can install
Yeah.
OpenClaw properly. Anyway, that one's pretty good because he's basically saying like don't host OpenClaw on a VPS, which I agree with at least for now. But there are a bunch of
Why would you agree
videos that
with?
I think is one. The reason they're putting those videos out there is because they want more money. They are not interested in your security or your well being or what have you. And this is
I mean,
I understand
using VPS in general, I mean,
totally fine.
right.
Don't watch a Hessner sponsored video on the fastest way to install OpenClaw
Yeah.
because I think that's what I'm talking about. Sorry, VPSs
Right.
are probably fine. It's a little,
But
but
installing
don't just install these
OpenClaw
ones.
on a VPS is fine.
It's
I mean, you got to install it somewhere.
probably
Yeah.
you do you
So,
do. Um,
I mean, you don't have to,
I,
but
I I mean, yeah, I was a really big fan of Pico Claw for a long, like Iron Claw, like the
yeah.
other claws, and then I just have ChatGPT run it for me, which is totally fine. But yes, the microservices video I think is highly recommended. I think the original video, I think it's like a whiteboarding video from way back when, is also quite good. But there's a bunch of these. Anyway, they made a quick web series. I think it was all filmed in New York. There are some New York jokes in there. Oh, sorry, I think we got a dog at the door here.
Jade is coming inside.
We do have a jade dog at the door.
Yep.
And the only thing I think you might, well, I kind of want to get your feedback after, but let me know how the ads land for you because they're so funny. It feels like he's making fun of the brand, and I know he's not, but he did have to put like a disclaimer on the ad. Like he used a HTML open tags, like here's an ad, and then it was done, like, ad done, because it's not obvious, and they're such good comedians that it feels like another sketch. And in particular, the Zed one is all about how Zed has developers in mind and they're like really good willing, but like I don't know if you've heard about Gram, but Gram's a whole fork of Zed, a complete rewrite, in fact, under GPL
Hmm.
to remove all the AI functions because they were really ticked off that Zed went so hard in the deep end, like adding in AI everywhere, that they spent 2 weeks of their lives like taking out the AI and making it on their own. So it's Gram, lowercase GRAM, if you want to try Zed without AI.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Zed commercial in the Kazam webisode was super cringe and pretty funny, but I don't think it was meant to be. And that, yeah, I guess I gave it
Yeah.
away. But let me know how you feel like the ads
Okay.
land. That is my takeaway.
Okay. Well, I before
For checkout.
any checkout, did you notice? You don't live in the U.S., but one of the things that popped up in the news today
Mhm.
was that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, or whatever it stands for,
Catholic choir. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
banned all
Oh,
foreign routers.
foreign's a big word.
Yeah, foreign made, foreign
Yeah,
manufactured
yeah, like
routers.
that's Cisco.
That's
Sorry.
um,
Okay, what I'm thinking about is
for
Fortinet, which, like,
yeah,
they get a headquarter in Burnaby, for example.
yeah,
But like, are they Canadian? They're
yeah,
manufactured in Shenzhen, as far as I
yeah.
know. But like, they're a North American company.
It's kind of
Dang.
vague.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's and it's
Whew.
all the news articles have been pretty vague about it as well. I mean, um,
It's hard to get
Ubiquity
silicon made
Ubiquity
in.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
American maybe, but maybe it's produced somewhere
American
else.
assembled. Yeah,
Yeah.
American assembled. Oh no.
Um,
And maybe not always American assembled.
yeah.
Oh no. This is
So
not
if
good.
it does not have
Aruba?
approval,
Oh no.
yeah. I mean,
Ah.
and it's not clear if it's commercial or just consumer devices. It's not, and
I'm
maybe
sorry.
it is
Are,
clear.
are these all Qualcomm chips? Like, is there anyone other than Qualcomm making the Switch chips? They're all, well,
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
all made in
it
Shenzhen. So
it is a, and if it hasn't gotten approval yet,
sorry, I'm saying
you
Shenzhen. I
need
mean to
to
say,
get a
yeah.
Department of Defense. I mean, Department of Defense waiver to get past it. I was like,
I, I don't think there's a U.S. made Switch.
yeah,
Like, I'm really, there are fabs in the U.S. There are, and they're not going to be like your 2 nanometer
yeah,
fab. They might be, you know, wow.
yeah. It was kind of a
It's
bizarre
Yeah,
slip
it
in
seems
there,
like a good idea on paper,
paper,
maybe,
but
and maybe this is because they're on ChatGPT and not Anthropic
yeah,
or something. Like,
yeah,
ouch.
yeah,
Ah, okay, well, I mean, listen, I'll do some research, but I don't think there's a purely American
yeah,
switch, let alone router or what have you. Like,
right.
it's tough. Holy moly. Microtik? No, even
I don't know. I
no.
mean, that's
Yeah.
European, isn't
Oh,
it? Microtik.
sorry, you've nerd swiped me. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
European. Yeah. Okay, what do you
yeah.
got for
So,
checkouts? I'll have to think
um,
about this for a while.
something I haven't actually checked out, but I saw that
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's Lawrence Labs. Do you know about not Lawrence Labs?
I sure do.
Lawrence
Systems? Lawrence
Lawrence
Tech Systems?
Systems. Yeah, definitely
Mhm.
not Lawrence Labs, but Lawrence
I know
Systems.
about both.
Yeah. I think it
Lawrence
was
Livermore Labs, I think is what you're
right.
trying to
Yeah.
say, but it's
No,
okay.
but it's not that. I mean, just the YouTuber. It might be him
Mhm.
or it might be somebody else has started putting together. I've started. I mean, I think it's been doing it for a while now. This kind of offline Wikipedia slash
Oh,
kind of
like
a
self-hosted. Yeah, there's a whole
self-hosted,
Lawrence Labs. Yeah, self-hosted.
not Lawrence Labs,
I
Lawrence.
think it's the systems.
um, uh, and it's almost like a. Is it a preppers thing? Is it a for if internet goal goes out, if all the things, and do you have access to uh like a large encyclopedia? I mean, it's all on your computer, and so if there's
Mhm.
if everything really does go out, stuff on your computer, it doesn't really help. But uh it's
He's got
also
a
like
hundred and
medical.
33 videos on the home lab. So yeah, I think you and
Oh
I
yeah.
are both coming to this pretty late. I thought it was like 30 videos. I'm
Oh
so
yeah. No,
sorry.
he's got a lot.
Wow.
But do you see the what I'm talking about?
Well, I'm
Um,
just looking at his channel right now because he's got quite
no,
a few of
there's
these.
like a project. God,
Okay,
is it Lawrence?
maybe it's somebody else. It's not
Offline.
Techno Tim, right?
No.
And the other guy, Network Chuck, I think is in Japan right now. He's putting
Oh really?
prayers at the end of his videos.
Yeah,
Which
that's
listen, I'm
weird.
not. Well,
Um,
it's him. Listen, I just
Project.
noticed it. That's all.
Yeah, I know it's a little off-putting. Project Nomad. It's Crosstalk
Oh,
Solutions, which is
oh, maybe
another
don't.
one of these. Another one of
Yeah, maybe
these
don't know this one.
home labber kind of folks. Um,
I've not seen any crosstalks. I don't think this is cool.
he's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
Project Nomad, and
Hmm.
he creates this offline Wikipedia and other tools for
This is definitely prepper stuff. Like this,
yeah,
there's like disaster tech and stuff like that in
yeah.
here, which is fine. Again, I'm not judging.
And
I'm okay with
we,
preppers.
so I live, I mean, you're a little bit more protected, but we live, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why we could go
Protected
offline.
but
There's
from waves
earth,
by you. Yeah,
there's earthquakes.
earthquakes,
There's
there's
the
waves.
largest active volcano in North America,
Hmm.
I think is, I mean, it's 60 miles away. The either the definitely in the
Forest fires,
top
rain.
three collections of nuclear arsenal
Hmm.
is within 100 miles of here. So there's all sorts of reasons why we would go offline. Um,
I
with
mean, there's
yeah,
power and stuff like you're on an
power, yeah.
island, so there's
Uh,
power,
uh,
wind,
it,
yeah, all that stuff.
if one cable in a specific point is knocked out, well, actually, we experienced this about a year ago. One
Oh
cable
shit!
in Kitsap County was knocked over, run into like a car accident, and it knocked out internet for the entire island.
Wow.
But we're also one cable from power for the entire island for a few days. Um, and so we've got all sorts of reasons why this is pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah, this is
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it looks pretty neat.
The prepper channel that I like the most because I'm actually like I grew up pretty
Yeah,
country on the farm,
yeah.
so like I'm pretty interested in offline stuff. Is the level one text? It's not news, but links with friends is what they call it.
Oh yeah,
This is like I'm sorry to admit this publicly. I think they're in Kansas, but or maybe Kentucky. These are the people I get most of my news from, just because they color it in a certain way that I like.
yeah.
It's pretty country, like hillbilly,
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
But
that guy.
you would
Yeah,
know Wendell from Level
yeah,
One Text because he does a lot of like
yeah.
Linux. Anyway, they're kind of like Linux preppers, which is like,
Mm,
yeah, I'm here for that. I like that spin in the news.
right,
They're talking about like age verification and
right.
what's going to come next. I'm like, sure as heck, that's exactly what came next
Yeah,
because they're pretty privacy minded in a way that maybe I'm not honestly, but
yeah.
some of my brain is. So it's good to get that opinion in there. But yeah, level one links with friends is
Links
what
with
I watch
friends.
for the
Okay.
news all the time. But Wendell and his brother Ryan, maybe more so. Ryan is not me, another Ryan is more interested in like that offline home lab prepper stuff than I think
Mm,
Wendell is, and will go into pretty good low level Linux explanations. Like, here's how you get your ISO, here's how you get it set up, here's the next thing, in like a good way, in a nice, easy to follow way. And I think what they do as a business is consulting in their region for other businesses and stuff like that.
right.
And I think Wendell's now become a bit of an internet celebrity after going to see. I'm pretty sure he was playing with like one of the first LTT screwdrivers as a weird callback
Mm,
when Linus invited him on to his
right.
show. But I, I think this is probably a pretty good prepper
I
channel
didn't
too.
know
And
anything about this. I will check this
so
out.
I think what
I mean,
happens
I
was
knew Level One Tech, but I didn't
yeah,
know
they used to
about
call it
Links
the
with Friends.
news. Yeah, they used to call it
Yeah.
the news, and I think they got in trouble from YouTube by calling it the news because there's some things that you can do. There's a certain amount of rigor you have to do,
Oh,
like
okay.
call yourself a news channel on YouTube,
Yeah.
which was not the case for
Right.
years, but is now, which is fine. So they made a new channel where they can like break the rules and not affect their main channel
Mm,
just in case. And they don't call it news; it's links with friends. They're sharing
yeah.
some links and talking about them. But would highly recommend it. I think they're pretty good. They provide, in my opinion, a balanced view of the news. Also, there's a female co-host on the show, which kind of like less than like two sweaty guys talking about
Yeah.
stuff, which cool, but also it's good to have more points of view. But yeah, I also had only seen maybe one or two crosstalk videos.
Yeah.
I recognize these yellow ones, like the Ubiquity ones, that are in yellow. I probably watched a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the complete unified setup, start to finish. I probably watched this video. It's from it's got 1 million views 9 years ago. I probably watched that.
Yeah.
That specific one right there. Yeah. This is cool.
Yeah.
All right, so go buy your Starlinks, folks, and I guess. Get rid of your TP,
I need to think
your toilet
about
paper link router.
I mean, I guess if I were doing it right, I would have that Starlink set up just in case internet goes down.
I think you're at a wealth level where you could probably launch your own satellite. I mean, let's be real. It doesn't cost that much. I think it's $10K to share voyage with somebody else and then like drop it at a certain stratosphere or whatever it is. It's not atmosphere, right? It's like just anyway. You can pollute the sky too, Matt. It's like all the other billionaires.
Billionaires,
but
yes.
It does sound like 4G, 5G is the first step, like a modem, whatever, and Starlink's kind of where most people land.
Yeah. Have you done it? Oh, okay, we got to stop. But have you done any more with what was the other alternate communication tool? The little radios, the mesh.
Meshtastic. I had a friend kind of drag me into this. I want to say it's Open Mesh is what they're running now. Meshtastic. Because Datadog sponsors one of them, which I think is Meshtastic. Really? Mesh Core. Yeah. Mesh Core. Yeah. Mesh Core is what he's moved to. So I've still got like a tiny little radio. We've got like a walkie-talkie basically. We're trying to do is go across some water from like my house to the studio and then use the studio to bounce to his place if we can. Basically so that we've got like a walkie system in case anything goes wrong. Because we're close but not close enough. The other thing, so we talked about satellites, we talked about comms. I feel like everyone needs a boat, and I don't mean like a big boat, but like a dinghy. And I'm positive I've talked about Zodiacs on this podcast before, but like now we can talk about why. But like my dream boat is just a Zodiac, like some, in case something happens, I've got a Zodiac ready to go. Because like it's all of a boat. It's just inflatable. That's all. But I legit do want a Zodiac and do worry about stuff. Unfortunately, I try not to ruminate too much about like being in this this nexus of disaster that we're in, But I do like the fact that we have a lot of water and generally stay cool in the summer, which is one of the main benefits.
I have if you look at MeshCore's devices list, I have the second one that they list there, the SenseCap, like credit card size device.
Oh, I've got that too. Yeah.
I played around with it and I never did anything with it.
I just send it my way. I'll use it.
No,
we use.
That was not the point.
No. I can't make this up. My friend, great guy. He works for HP. Merlin Boissonneau. In case y'all need to know, I'll name drop him. Merlin gave us all those little credit card devices, so that in case we got lost at a Wu-Tang concert of all things, we could find each other again. So there were 4 of us. He programmed all 4 of them and then gave it to us. I mean, he also bought us the tickets. So like, I'm not complaining. This is awesome. And he thought basically if we, because it's a massive stadium, if we get lost, we can find our way back to each other or what have you. Because sometimes cells don't work when you're in a stadium and it's pretty busy. It turned out that we were just like glued to our seats. The Wu-Tang show was pretty good, which like really surprising because they're fairly old. I know you're not going to do this, but like, there was a old dirty bastard. His son was there. So ODB's son sounded basically the same as him, which was phenomenal. Anyway, we were glued to our seats the whole time. We didn't end up using the credit card thing, but would recommend. Go see Wu-Tang live before you can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, that's my parting recommendation. I could do better, but here we are. Go watch the Krazan miniseries. I think it's actually comedy gold. If you haven't seen any of the rest of the episodes, highly recommended. They're
Yeah.
so good. They're almost it might hit a little bit too close to home.
All right.
All right.
Should we
Should we find that button?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you
Thanks.
all for the comments. That was fantastic. Get some more LTT Screwdriver fans, Krazam fans. Thanks, Ed Lucas, Sean, and Jay Topham.
Yeah, thanks. All right, let me find the button. Finish, end broadcast.